Hello everyone. Hey Nadia. Good evening, Sue. How's it going? Everyone having a good day today? It's really cold here. We have minus 6 Celsius outside, so it's freezing outside, but we've had the most insane electrical prices. We haven't had electricity this expensive since 2022 when there was the energy crisis in Europe. So today I've had the heater on here for 1 hour now, and I think it costs just for 1 hour, it's $1.50 or something for 1 hour. That's insane. If you take a shower, it's $5. It's absolutely crazy. Hey Mats. So I'm choosing to have it a little bit cooler in here today instead. I've had it off during the day and then I just heat it up for now. But it's there's something nice about it being a bit cold because it's fresh, you're more awake. Hot water bottle is my best here, and I love having that in bed. You just put it in and you heat up the under the blankets. I have a really nice, what do you call that? We call it duntäcke. It's from birds, I think. It's like a dune, yeah. So they're really warm. Sorry, I missed Monday. I was in hospital. Oh, I hope it's nothing serious, Sue. Hey, JVB, nice to have you here. Wait, is it Thursday today? Yes, Thursday today. My Monday was Monday, but no, it's Thursday. Of course. Down blanket. You mean one of those weight blankets? I have one of those also. I've tried that as well. No, down. It's called dune. Dune. I mean the Swedish version is dune. It's like feathers from geese or something. I'm not actually sure what it is. They're crazy warm and they're natural, and it's just very comfortable to lie under them. Oop, the heat just turned off. So it should be on later. But yeah, so it's a little bit chilly here, but that will just make us more aware and present, I think. Down near in Sweden, yeah, that's correct. That's correct. By the way, to the next Monday, there won't be any guided meditation. It's very rare. I think since I started doing these, I don't even remember when I started. I think it was in March, April this year. I think I missed, I can remember one. So let's say twice, I think I missed it. Maybe no more than 3 times in the last almost year. And then it's always been something exceptional. And on Monday, it's my fiance, she has her work. They have a evening party for the work. And we just, since we've had small kids, we haven't really been able to go to stuff like that. But we thought this year we're going to try to do it. So she has hers on Monday. So unfortunately, I cannot come here on Monday evening, I'm afraid. So we'll have to skip Monday. I'll post something on the community forum. Sorry, the community page on my YouTube channel. But yeah, I'm sorry about that. So Monday, no sitting. But I'll be back on Thursday, and I don't actually know when Christmas Eve is, but as long as Christmas Eve and New Year's aren't on Monday or Thursday, then there'll be meditation throughout the winter holidays as well. Yeah. Dunet in Swedish. Dunet. Dune, yeah. It's spelled it. Live stream the party. Yeah, we should do that. So I was watching a past meditation where you said, what is my next thought? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw Nadia made a comment about that. It's a really interesting, I know I've done it here a few times, but I've also done a short video specifically on this Nadia's talking about, because I saw your comment, Nadia. I just didn't have time to answer. Basically, the exercise, what it is we can try it tonight. You ask yourself, actually, I won't say it. We'll just do it actually it's Thursday, so it's not guided today. We can do it as a special, it's Thursday, so there's no guiding, but in the beginning, I'll just do this short exercise after we just kind of settled in, and after a few minutes, we'll do a short thing, and you can just try what that feels like. It's a really interesting experience. And then if you want to, we can discuss it later, because it is an interesting subject, Nadia. I've thought about that I wanted to discuss it. For Mama, I have my kids as heaters in my bed. We're doing bed sharing. No need a hot water bottle. Yeah. Oh, they're so cozy when you lie next to the kids. Mine has a fever today. She had 39.6, so like a really high fever, and she's just burning up. And I think we all have something that's going around. My stomach is absolutely terrible, and I feel I have something as well. So it might be that I have to run out, but I'll come back if I have to go to the toilet. But there's just a lot of stuff going on at daycare right now. What is my next thought? Feels like a cheat code for stopping thought loops. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Mine for Mama, I just make sure they are in bed before me. And when it's nice and warm, I jump in bed. Never mind. There's no secret, like we've already talked about it. What's my next thought? So the exercise is this. When we start meditating, we'll stop. Actually, we can do it right now. It doesn't really matter. We just, like, if everyone just calm down and just close your eyes and just start focusing on your breath a little bit, and we just start getting settled in, and we just relax a little bit. We're not actually going to start meditating. We just release your thoughts and just become present and just feel your breath. So you're just observing, you're breathing in, and you're breathing out, you're breathing in, and you're breathing out. And then, as you observe this, I want you to ask yourself, and we're not looking for an answer. I just want you to ask and observe. So the question I want you to ask yourself is, what is my next thought? And then stop. So again, we're not looking for an answer. It's just, what is my next thought? And you just look. You just observe what comes up. Just create an empty space, a wide field that's waiting for the next thought. It's not about figuring anything out or coming up with an answer. It's just waiting for your next thought. So if you did that exercise, it's a bit different, like how it works. It doesn't always work, but what tends to happen is that your mind just goes, okay. And all of a sudden there's no thought. There's nothing there because you're waiting for your next thought. Hey, Stephen, by the way. Mine for Mama. Oh, yes, I use that. What's my next thought so many times in my yoga classes during meditation. I learned from you. People really like it, yeah. I remember I did this, I've done this live with people, like when I actually hold a course, and they're like, wow, that's amazing. I finally figured out the trick to stopping my thoughts. And people have told me in my videos as well, like, I get how to get my thoughts to stop. And what it is, it's one of those things that work, but it's not really something that will work continuously. But there is an element in it that actually can work continuously. And what that is this. Because if you look for what you're doing, you're just creating, you use your awareness. Instead of looking here, instead of looking here, looking somewhere, you go, what's my next thought? And you go, and you just hold that. You're just waiting for something to be painted on this canvas of where you believe thoughts are coming up. So actually what makes this special, what makes something, oh my goodness, I looked at myself when I was standing like this. It looks like I'm some kind of channeling upstairs or something. What's really happening is that you're using your focus, your awareness in such a way that you create space, and then you're kind of getting out of the perspective of me, you, and then usually there's no thoughts there. It's the same as if though you would ask, who am I? That's a really like big question in non-duality and many teachings, is you ask, who am I? What you're looking for, like you ask, who am I? And you stop. And you just like, wait a minute, like, where would I be? Like, is it somewhere? No, you just wait. There's nothing there. So it's the same thing. There's many ways of getting this kind of spacious awareness kind of that comes from that. And it's part of, like, it goes very well together with how we practice. Since I tell you all the time, don't focus small points, don't like try to create a perspective. Instead, we want to be wide. We want to let things happen. We want it to be like a whole canvas where things are just happening. It's not that I am here doing things. It's more that you're just feeling this canvas, this clean slate, and there's just things popping up on that slate, but it's not really feeling like it's you that is coming from. Did anyone try the exercise, and did it work for you, or did you have any thoughts about that? Or maybe you're still sitting there waiting for your next thought, so there's nothing that's coming. But it is a really remarkable exercise, especially if you're used to your mind going all the time, and then realizing, hey, wait a minute, it can actually stop. There are things that I can do which can change the activity of my mind. And what you'll quickly realize is that you cannot stop the mind by going like this. Like, if you focus really hard on one point, you can focus so hard on that point that you kind of get groggy, and then you forget about thoughts and they don't get so strong. Nadia, it worked. It's fabulous. I like it. Very good. And then keep on doing that, because there's nothing that says you cannot go out throughout the day and just take a break and ask, what's my next thought? And you just wait. It's very similar to what I ask my students to do when we're doing a coaching session. I'll ask them, and I ask you guys also actually, I think, how am I doing right now? Like, throughout the day, continuously, I want you to check in. How are you doing right now? Like, what's happening? It's not, oh, I'm feeling bad because this happened and I'm thinking about. No, it's just get that wide awareness. That's where we're moving to, because non-centricness, when there's no sense of a self that is reacting, because when there's no sense of a center point, there's nothing reacting. I mean, things are happening, but it's not pushing against anything. Let's see, like, it works. Like my mama, I often hold my breath when I do the what is my next thought, right? Yeah, it can happen because you're like, wait a minute. And there's just less stillness, and that can actually help sometimes, but obviously you need to start breathing eventually. Really need to do my best to keep breathing normally. Sue, I was in a hospital of 4, including me. I had the meditation over the weekend. I did the 5 things you showed us. Oh, nice. I was in a hospital of 4, including me. I had the meditation over the week. 5 things you showed. Nice. The question of what's my next thought actually triggered my mind to spur up more thoughts. The thing is, if you're looking for, okay, what is my, and then if that's what happens, that can happen, but also then the awareness, it could be that you have this, so there's 2 ways. One could be that you're actually looking for the wrong thing. The second could be that your mind is so going that it's just like it doesn't want to stop. But for many people, where the mind is going, it actually does stop. So very likely when you said, what's my next thought? You said, what's my next thought? And you started looking, and you're like, oh, what is my next thought? What am I going to think about? Is it going to be this, or is it that? Am I supposed to think about, oh, maybe it's that thing about... You're probably continuing a dialogue, making it so that it's not what I'm saying when I say, what's your next thought? Just... You're trying to create space. You're not trying to make a thought happen. You're not even interested in what your next thought is. That's irrelevant. That's kind of besides the point. It's just what we're using to shape our focus in a specific way that feels very similar to non-centricness, that feels very similar to non-duality. And when you're in that state, that's very similar to what life becomes like when you're doing the slicing of the sausage, and you just get very, 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 very thin, and you just here, because here there's no thoughts about the past, the future. There's no distortion towards any of that. It's just now, 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 now. And that feels very similar to what's my next thought. It's that spaciousness, but it's more alive, more active, and more, no, not active, more alive and more sparkly and more engaging. It's like I said last time, I think I really liked how that kind of came out when we were discussing. It's the wow of seeing a beautiful sunset, but without the wow feeling. The senses go wow, but there's no wow feeling. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I think there's so many things that are aiming for the same thing, but they just have really strict shapes and forms that make them kind of go in a specific direction. But in the end, there's a lot of similarities in how we use our mind, because there's not that many variables that you can change. It's basically, okay, I haven't actually thought this through, but there's not that many variables that you can use with your mind. How you use it is where you focus it, meaning on what objects, but it's also how you tend to focus it, if it's a small point or a wide sense of awareness, if you're feeling perspective. But if you feel no perspective, then your awareness is going to be wide. That's just like a given. They go together. If your awareness is very thin, you'll feel a perspective. That's more likely than when you're feeling wide. So that's the reason why, instead of talking about all those other things, I focus on the things that you can actually do something about. And the best way to do that is just to aim towards feeling wide, not forcing it, not feeling hollow, not feeling neutral, not feeling numb, but just all the time trying to expand your awareness, because that's what those states feel like. And if it's even a state, I don't think it's really a state. It depends on how you talk about it. So there is a method and a reason behind all of the crazy stuff I say most of the time. Let's see. Mats, what do you think of what is my next feeling? A friend told me that she started doing that after I told her about what is my next thought trick. What is my next feeling? Oh, that might be even better, actually. Yeah, I think it is better, Mats. That's very curious. Try it, guys. So when you say, what's my next thought, we tend to have our awareness here, because we imagine that thought is happening like in this area. But when we say, what is my next feeling, then you go all over the body. So you say, let me try it again. What's my next feeling? Yeah, and I can, because now I'm focused on what's happening. Oh, there's a bit of tense. I'm looking for distortion when I say feeling. There's a bit of tension here. I can feel there's a rumbling in my stomach going on here, but there's still that wide awareness. Interesting. I will play around with that, and I recommend you do that also. Like, the stuff we talk about here is not the Bible, like do this or you're wrong and you're gonna get sent to like a lower dimension where there's ghouls and ghosts and bad stuff. Like, that's that's not what it is. I really highly recommend you to practice doing all of this stuff. Like, if you have a partner, try meditating and then asking them to kiss you. And like, try to feel things. Try to sit and meditate, and then after you meditate and you feel really calm, then take up your phone and start surfing social media. What does that feel like? Like, there's no right and wrong here. We're just trying to be aware of what's happening inside of us, and we're aiming for certain things. The way that I'm trying to get you to aim is to be wide in your awareness, because we want to look at this distortion, this pressure that we feel towards the outside world, and when we can make that drop away, what also drops away is this sense of, I'm sitting here, I need to defend this. All this problem, all these issues, conflicts, arguments, all of that comes from the idea that there's something here that is offended. I could tell you, oh my God, you look like shit. What the heck, you look ugly. And if you have a sense of self that takes a I look like shit, I look ugly, oh my goodness, why is he saying that? And because it's reflecting. If it would just be something that you heard said and it just passed through, then it would just be like, oh, well, maybe, I mean, I don't know, but there would be no reaction. It's just because we have this sense of center point that is reacting. It's not that we then can't see, because it depends on that person how they say it. I mean, if they say it in a loving way, then, or in a way that's not like there's nothing behind it, then there's not going to be an argument. And you can feel this when people talk to you, like when they say things. I have it quite often. I say weird stuff all the time because my mind works a bit different and I have a very different perspective than most people. But people can feel that I'm not saying them to offend them. I'm not saying those things because I want to get a reaction. I'm just genuinely curious, and I ask things that most people wouldn't ask, and I have conversations that most people wouldn't want to have. It's not in the way that many spiritual people do when they start out. They go in and they like, oh, I want to find out your darkest, deepest secrets. I'm only interested in going deep, and I want you to tell me your life story, what's happening, like all of that stuff. There's so much me. I want to go. But when there's just spaciousness, where there's nothing here, it's life is so much more enjoyable and it's so much easier. And it's difficult to do that the whole time, but we're just doing more and more of it. Let's see. I got carried away on the talking again, sorry. So let me try that again. I was in hospital bay for 4 people and I had them meditating over the week. Oh, so that makes something that's a completely different. I was kind of like, what is she saying? Did I say some 5 things that maybe I said? I mean, most of the time I have no idea what I'm saying. I just try to get out of the way and just lots of stuff come out. But if you ask me after, I have very little idea of exactly what I was saying. So I thought maybe I said something about 5 things. Oh yeah, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method is what you're talking about. I was in the hospital. Okay, that makes sense. That's a really good exercise, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If I remember correctly, I learned this from a psychiatrist because they use this as a technique with people who are having really emotionally difficult states. Like if you're in a panic attack, if they're willing to play, they might not be. But if they are, that is a really good technique to get them to get out of their minds and just back into their senses. Or someone is really caught up. I do it with my kids sometimes, like especially my daughter can really get carried away, and then asking her to do this exercise makes her stop because you can't like she just like I dropped my pear on the floor. Oh my goodness. Okay, like just can you tell me 5 things you see? No, I want to be angry, and then they have to stop that pattern because now they're focusing on the senses. So very good you did that, Sue. I hope they had a good experience with it, and I hope you did well with whatever you did there. Let's see. Hi, do you think jhana practice is worthwhile? I never really did jhana practice. Well, that's not true. I did do jhana practice, but jhanas just happened for me. I didn't have to do anything. They just started happening by themselves. And I meditated so much that it's just something that kind of arises. You don't really have to do anything to get jhanas. Jhana practice generally focuses... I mean, I think try everything. I mean, I was discussing with someone who actually comes to visit my channel, and I think it's people who have... at first I thought it's people who are just not so far down the spiritual lululala land, but actually a bit more grounded in how they view things. But I also thought it's actually people who have been really far down and tried many different things and seen like, okay, wait a minute, there's something that's... Why can't everyone... Why do we have to be so... like, can't we just be normal people? Like, why do we have to make it so special and so strange and so... like, we don't have to involve all these interpretations and other things. Just like experience what you're experiencing here and now. So from that perspective, I really think it's a good idea to try different kinds of meditations. If you like jhana practices, try it. There's kasina practices. There's like this where you focus on circular discs, and there's like different colors, and you can do things to widen your awareness. A lot of that has to widen your awareness as well, and they can help you do that. But I wouldn't really try to force it, try to make it happen. It's fun stuff, especially if you read about these things in the Buddhist text. It's really interesting when you start experiencing it yourself and like, wow, they experienced this 2,500 years ago and I'm experiencing the same thing, and it's exactly the same way they happen, like these patterns. And that's really remarkable when you think about it. There is a structure to the mind somehow, and everyone seems to have the same structure. We're not so different as we think we are. The idea that everyone is unique and special is something that's kind of a Western idea. In Asia, they have much more. They try to group people into different... if you know Ayurveda, they do Vata, Pitta, Kapha. There's different body types. Whereas in the West, it's no, I don't believe... like, we're all unique. We're all special. That's not quite how most traditions have it, if you look into that. Okay, I'm getting out of hand. I'm going to go through these and then we'll start sitting. Let's see. That's really nice, Mats. Good idea of your friend, says Mindful Mama. Yes, I thank her. I'll try that a bit more. Mindful Mama, but do I focus on physical sensations or feelings on the inside, or both? I just observed both, and that was very nice. So the way that I did it when I focus on my feelings is that I just made it wide, and I wasn't really observing, okay, I can feel the breath. No, I was looking for distortions, which for me are really clear. There's a difference between a distortion, that's kind of like a ripple or like an uncomfortableness feeling or something going through the body, compared to tension and movement, which is different. So that's what I observed. You could absolutely have. But otherwise it just becomes more of a body scan. And what we're really trying to let go of is that distortion, which is what happens when you say, what's my next thought? So I would look for the distortions. Feeling in the inside, I mean emotions, for example, yes. JVB, I guess I've reached the states of equanimity without asking myself an internal question. Normally I sit down in silence and let my mind ramble until it naturally quiets down and I hear nothing. Yeah, that happens sometimes. JVB, the 5-4-3-2-1 method is my favorite one. That method helps me reach a state of deep presence. It's a really good way to get present. Mats, I learned 5-4-3-2-1 as a skill during CBT. Oh yeah, alongside with eating chili, smelling ammonia. Wow, that would work. And gripping a spiked ball. I have a strong aversion to the 5-4-3-2-1. Okay, feels exhausting somehow. Interesting. I think that's one of the first times I've heard anyone say that. But I still do it anyway, and it works every time for me. Still have to force myself though. We're going to have to look at that. Today we're so late anyway, but we'll look at that later, Mats, because it shouldn't be something you force. Mindful Mama, I have the same, Mats. I didn't have experience with it like you, but I really feel I am putting so much effort in 5-4-3-2-1. It feels very forced. Oh, interesting. Can't do it from an easy place. That's great, I guess. I agree. Nice. Mats, yeah, it's pretty weird, Mindful Mama. I guess it's the mind rebelling against turning to the present. Yeah, we're going to have to look into that because that's an interesting perspective to look into. But just because we're talking about it, let's do the 5-4-3-2-1 method. And we'll do it a little bit quicker today than I normally do it because we're quite late. And I'm quite tired. so we're not going to go on too long. And we're going to sit also, of course. So for those of you new, we start with a little discussion, usually 5 minutes or half an hour. I mean, what's time? I mean, between friends. I mean, time doesn't matter. Then we do the 5-4-3-2-1 method, where we say 5 things out loud that we can see, feel, hear, smell, and taste. After that, we sit for 20 minutes. Today is Thursday, so there's no guiding, but instead you sit by yourself. And then after that, there's time for just a short question and answer if there's any questions after this this long discussion. So, 5 things that I can see, and I recommend you say it out loud rather than just say it quietly for yourself. I see the reflection of light rippling in my tea as the tea is moving. It's actually a really cool thing to look at. And when you look at things from that sense of non-centricness, everything feels solid and really there, and it's like, wow. But there's no wow feeling. It's like, wow, this is like the first time you see a beautiful piece of art and you go like, whoa, I want to have this on my wall. But if you'd had it on your wall, you would stop feeling that whoa feeling. So I also see a pair of keys. I see a cardboard box. I see a square window. I see light shining through a metal mesh. There was 5 things that I could see. I should take 4 things that we can feel. I can feel warm liquid on my tongue. I can feel my beard poking into my lips. It's funny when you say things like that, then that sparks memories sometimes, and you can see the mind going whoa, like going off like that. Like I thought about that, and I thought one of my first girlfriends, she had like a rash around her mouth because it had a stubble. Like all of the things we have, it's connected to things, and instead of going away with them and going, oh, that's nice, and like it comes up and we just let it go. We don't try to follow them, we just let them happen, because there's nothing wrong with having memories or emotional reactions towards things. We're not trying to push things down, we're just letting them come up and then pass away. I feel this plastic thing. It's a connector of some kind. And I feel the baton for the bell. Those 4 things that I could feel. 3 things that we can hear, and we try to look for things that are maybe not always the first sound we hear, but a little bit more detail. So I hear a low humming sound in the background. I hear tires on pavement. And I hear the fan of my heating. Those are 3 things that I could hear. And we take 2 things that we can smell. I can smell washing detergent. I can smell yogurt. Finally, we take 1 thing that we can taste. I taste like an orangey taste. Yeah, orange. It is Thursday today, so there's no guidance, but always means that what you said before doesn't matter, because you're probably going to do something that directly contradicts that. So it is Thursday and I don't guide, but I want you to lean into a feeling of just enjoyment, of just feeling comfortable, peaceful and happy and effortless, and just enjoying from the soul, just sitting here and just feeling peaceful. It's not something you do, it's something that comes up by itself. And as you lean towards that direction, I want you to ask yourself, what is the next feeling I have, the next emotion that comes up? and then just stop. As you start coming back from the meditation, I want you to focus on one of the things you observed that you looked at before when we did the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take one of the things that you looked at, or something new, and look at it again and see, is there a difference? Does it feel more solid, or shadows clearer, colors different? After that, feel something that you felt before. Is your sense of touch different? Is it enhanced, or maybe even less? Is it more tender, more delicate somehow when you touch things? More appreciation for what you're feeling? Then listen for one of the things you listened for before. And then move on to something you can smell. Finally, one thing that you can taste. If you want to, you can keep on sitting, or if you have any questions, feel free to ask them, or just drink a cup of tea with me. See, Mats, I think this was said before, yeah. Dermtver, that's great, I agree, thanks. Oh yeah, that was about the jhanas. Mats is saying, yeah, it's pretty weird, mindful mama. I guess it's mind rebelling against turning to the present, maybe. That would make sense. Like I said, we'll have to look into that one next time a bit more. Mindful mama could be, but it's more like when I'm trying to be mindful, it's my mind who is guiding it. If that makes sense. If I'm just mindful, I just am, and then there is no effort. Could it be that you are directing, meaning creating perspective too much? Meaning I am here, I'm looking at that, and that could be painful because then you're creating more self. I get that when I do body scans sometimes, especially the Goenka method. That's one of the reasons I don't like his method, because it really forces you to look through, and that creates a separation and perspective which feels uncomfortable. JVB, for some reason my room looks clearer than it actually is. Yeah, that's very much what it feels like when you observe the world without, because the sense of self, this thing here, that everything is creating pressure, it's almost like it's like this, like you can see me, but there's this thing in the way and you can't see me clearly, and it's like everything is moving and it's unstable and it's quite annoying to look at. But now it's beautiful. Look at this. I mean, this, it's clear, it's different, it just looks more alive. It's exactly the feeling. If you want to know what it feels like, go on vacation. When you go on vacation and you're walking down a normal street in a city you've never been to, maybe like, so if you live like we live up in Sweden, and we go to Italy, and there's all the smells and the light and the scent and everything just looking so the buildings are different, the people are different, there's different you can't understand what people are saying, there's a different language, and you just observe everything like, wow, you're mesmerized, it's so clear, you're really there. That's the wow feeling without the wow. That's one of the reasons people like traveling, is not actually because they like going to that place. They like going to that place because of how that place makes them feel. And there's no reason you need to go to that place to feel that way. It's just easier to do that. If you have ever stayed abroad or somewhere else for a long period of time, you'll know that the first week, second, third, maybe even fourth week, it's amazing to be there. But then it becomes regular. And then it becomes every day. And then all of a sudden, it's just not the same. It's not that feeling of, wow, you're not observing because you're accustomed to it. You're used to it. So breaking the pattern is part of the thing that kind of gets you out of this. Because we have pressure towards all things. When someone says something in Swedish, I have a pressure. English, I have a pressure. In Dutch, I have these distortions towards those things, and they're like towards all the things around. But when we go to a new place, we don't have that because it's a new place. We haven't created those yet, but eventually you will. Even if you don't understand the language, you will, and then you'll start having a stronger sense of self again. So that's why we like going on vacation so much. Mats, I am very calm, but also very tired now. Thanks for the meditation. Good night. Perfect. That's a great place to go to bed, Mats. JVB, I'm saying this after the meditation practice now that I have more clarity. Yeah, I understood. Exactly. That's what I was trying to point at. Sue, one of the things I could hear before was my cat snoring. I thought she had stopped during the meditation. That sound slowly stopped. But when it ended, she was still snoring. Ah, interesting. We're not really used to using so much of our senses. We just kind of go through and we make stereotypes and assumptions about things. And we need those in a way to navigate the world. Like I'm sitting in here and I have an assumption that the ceiling is not going to fall on my head. I'm not going to get electrocuted by the lamp falling on me, and I'm assuming that I'm safe in here from like someone shooting a gun at this place because I'm assuming that's not going to happen. None of those things are absolute truth. All of those things could happen. They're just really unlikely. But since I'm assuming that, then I no longer that's a pressure. But when you come to a new place, you have less assumptions, less stereotypes, and you beginning all of that anew, so you feel freer because you don't have the. And it's not that you can't say that, hey, if someone's walking down the street in a specific way and they're looking at you in a specific way, and like, oh, it's just my stereotype, it's just my distortion, they're probably not going to harm me. Like, why would they do that? I mean, it might be that they won't, but maybe that's you being able to observe someone and seeing like, okay, they're watching my wallet and this is someone I should look out for. We're not saying become idiots. I'm just saying there's no reason you should feel distortion towards that, which is a different thing. Nadia, Martin, would you ever hold a retreat? Yes, I have held retreats. I've held quite a few retreats, but that's a long time ago. I've been considering doing evening meditations with a yoga center here where we live. So they've asked me to keep weekly meditation. So I have thought about that, but it's not something that I have the time to do now. But I have thought about doing retreats online. So that is something that next year, hopefully, there will be some kind of. I haven't figured out the form yet. Either some kind of workshop thing or some idea where, say, we have a Sunday and we take that Sunday we have from, I don't know, like for 5 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours, however long. Like we take a long period of time where we begin with discussing and then we sit and then people can share. We'll have it as a Zoom meeting and it will be more of an intimate experience. I mean, this feels very intimate and very close, but it will be more interactive for you because right now I'm talking and you're chatting via text, but then you'll be able to talk to me. So yes, I have thought about it. It's good you mentioned that, actually. I've been so focused on the course that I haven't really had much thought about but doing that, because that's actually an easier thing to do, a retreat, because I have lots of stuff that I can do. So it's just a matter of how would we get that together, and what would we do in not making it take too long. When I did retreats, I usually did like 1-day retreats, and I jokingly said that I just locked people in a room, and then I could just, when I had them locked in a room, I could share with them all the things I wanted to share, and then they understood. Whereas here on YouTube, it's like that quick, and then people leave if they don't like it. Sue saying that would be great. Yeah, I'll consider that, because it is actually, that's much easier to do than the course, because the course requires a lot of planning, and I really want to make it into something that's useful and not just another Udemy course on meditation and like spirit guides and stuff. I want it to really be something that helps people, even if they've tried starting to meditate and then stopped, that they can actually, okay, I stopped because of this. What is it that makes people stop? What is it that makes people continue? What are the things I should know about so that I don't run into all these obstacles that come up for everyone? It's just commonplace. So it will be a bit of a broader aim towards helping people establish a regular practice so that they can then feel that calmness, that peacefulness, that joyfulness in their daily lives. But I'm still figuring out how all that could be. Nice. Thank you for suggesting it, Nadia. I will definitely, next year, I will do that, for sure. I don't know when, but within a year, yes, we'll do a retreat, for sure. Nice. It's getting kind of late. A reminder, like I said, next Monday there won't be a guided meditation because I have to, be in with the kids that time. But we'll meet again in a week from now on Thursday. That feels almost strange. It's so long. I'm so used to meeting everyone every week. I'll miss you, and I hope you have a great week. And as always, just focus on enjoying your life experience and ask yourself, what is my next emotion?